Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits, the Motorcast. Here's host Dave. I got nostalgia, blown alcohol, funny car driver, the wild. What's the car called? Wild Sting.
Wild Thing.
Yeah, Wes Breiten. How you doing, Wes? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
So, Wes, when did it all begin for you to get into drag racing?
When did I get into drag racing?
Yeah.
Oh, about 1958. I've been at it a while.
So, what'd you start drag racing in?
I had a 49 Ford. I was in high school. I had a 49 Ford. Put a middle to heads and put a H&C 3/4 race cam in it and a Strongbird carburetor. And take it down to San Antonio. I was raised in Hondo, about 40 miles west of San Antonio, Texas. We take it down to San Antonio to the Double Eagle Drag Raceway, I think it was called. And I've got a little trophy at home that's maybe 8 inches tall, and it's splatter painted pink, and the car on top of it looks like about a 1958 DeSoto. And so that was my first endeavor, and I didn't get very serious about it after that for a few years. I was working for a GM dealership in '64, and they came out with a GTO, so I ordered me one with 3 deuces and a 4-speed and a positive track, and went to parts department, ordered some 390 gears for it, and raced it, of course, on the street some, and did a fair amount of drag strip racing with it. It was fast but fragile. It didn't last. I tore up lots of powertrain parts on it, And I guess from there, I was trying to think. Before '65, I went in business for myself. Me and my father put an independent garage in together. And then in '66, we got a Dodge dealership. And I ran the sales, and he ran the service. And I had a '67 Coronet RT, a brand new demo I played with a little bit, but couldn't do much to it because, of course, it was a demo, and I had to, tell it and get rid of it when it's done. But 1968, I built a '64 Dodge 2-door post max wedge car. Started out with just a 361. I put a 413 max wedge in it, and then I put a 426 max wedge in it. I raced that car for about 10 years. And then everything was AHRA in those days, or IHRA down here. And I'd come up to Green Valley and Dallas and run, or Dallas International, which was IHRA. This is all late 60s, early 70s. And then they got to having some summer national events down in San Antonio, and I raced some of those. And I like to win my class and, make it an in-stock eliminator ways. I don't think I ever got past quarterfinals. I never won the all-stock eliminator, all of it, though. But it was a lot of fun, And the old car was in Hot Rod Magazine somewhere along the way, and at one of those national events or something, and the caption said that the big San Antonio-based Mopar had been Brighton the regular ride for over a decade. It was about the truth.
Now, what happened with that car? You sold it?
Yeah, well, I sold it. I decided to change my occupation, I guess, and I sold it in '78. I had bought a Western Auto store up here in Northeast Texas, about 65 miles northeast of Dallas, in a little old town called Wolf City of about 1,600 people. And I sold my car before I moved up there, tried to quit it, and I did for years. But I guess early '90s, my son got out of high school and was starting college. And we were sitting around my shop one cold winter day and decided to build him a car. And we started out a 340, a little '68 Plymouth Valiant. Later on put a 360 in it. He ended up running Super Street with the car in NHRA and did fairly well. He quarterfinaled at several events and such, And then when he got out of college and responsibility and a family and everything came along, and so he quit racing. So I took the car to see if I could still race. Of course, everything become electronics and all that by then. I understood the method, but, just without a practice. and I started racing at a little drag strip in Paris, Texas, which is still open. They claim to be the oldest operating drag strip, NHRA drag strip ever. But anyway, and so I took an old car and started racing it, and I won the last race of the season at Paris drag strip. And I built me a little MG, of all things, a 65 MGB, and put a small block Chrysler, a stroker small block Chrysler in it, and started racing, bracket racing electronics, and then super gas with it. And I raced it for about 15 years, raced super gas, and I mean, I just sold it here within about the last 6 months. And it had quit racing. I gave up super gas here about a year before that, and the NHRA hassle. But along the way, I bought a little altered car and was going to run top dragster back somewhere in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, and but just couldn't make it fast enough. And Rick Grindstrath and Keith Brazil, I think his name is, and Chris Graves started up the Texas Blown Fuel Association, and started running on a 465 index with blown cars. And so I built a blower motor and ran with them for about 5 years. Really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. Won a few races. You know, we mostly raced around all around Texas and Oklahoma a little bit. And it was a fun deal. But then Chris Graves started up his Southwest Heritage Racing Association, and running several nostalgia classes and such. And so basically they just kind of merged with them, and we ran that with an altered for another year or two, probably a couple of years, and just kind of got tired of it and sold it. And then here about 3 years ago, the plan was several of us were going to get these cars, funny cars and such, that would run, 7.0 or so, 200 miles an hour and a quarter, 458-mile cars. And we were going to put up a little circuit and, just kind of race around. But we couldn't ever get any cars going. Nobody could ever get enough cars going to make it happen. And so I started racing back with Chris with the SHRA and with the funny car, and then he created the funny car Chaos, and I raced his initial event in Denton back in the fall. Qualified 7th in the B field, ended up making the semis and shook the tires, but that's racing. And they just had one at Mocan last weekend, but I missed it. Right. It was a small field and it was a long ways up there. Anyway, I just didn't go to that one. And he's got another one 1st of June in Amarillo. We'll probably go to it and run it. And then he got another one in the fall back at Denton, and one up in Illinois or somewhere that I probably won't go to. But and another association just cranked up, and I'm just checking into it and may run with them. It's called Supercharged Outlaws Texas, and they're out of the Dallas area. And they started just to be a door car, but I guess couldn't get enough door cars and decided to let alters and funny cars in it. They're on a 450 index, and they've got a race here in a couple of weeks. And I just put an altered body. I just bought a brand new altered body and just got it painted and everything, so I could run it as an altered and not just a funny car. Just because it takes 2 extra people to run the funny car, for the crew to handle the body and everything. So we were going to throw an altered body on it and just run some of that index stuff with it, and that's about it.
So you ran the first funny car cast that he ever created last year.
Yes, I did.
With Andy Mears was in there. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said Andy Mears. Didn't Andy Mears win?
Yeah. And Andy went on to win it. We got down to semis. It was Andy and Jordan Ballou out of Oklahoma, and me, and I shook the tires against Jordan, and then Andy Mears beat Jordan in the final.
Yeah,
they had a real close, real side-by-side final. It was a great race.
Yeah, Jordan, I interviewed Jordan. He says he's looking to get back at Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet he does. They had a close, good race. I mean, it was side by side. And one run like a 76, another one run a 77. You know, I mean, side by side, they were close on the tree, and they had a good final round.
Now, did you get to go up? I can't even talk. Did you get to go up against any nitromethane cars last year?
No, I didn't. I didn't run in the night. They had a A and a B field, and they had them in the A field, so we didn't run across them. So I didn't get to run across any of them. And I had my car. Way I had my car set up, it was running 460s at the time, and of course they were, you know, the nitro cars were running 380s, 360s, something like that. You know, they had several of the nitro cars that run some pretty good threes, and you know, John Hale was there, and you know, Blue Max was there. They had some quality cars there. It was a good event.
Now, would you ever want to drive a nitromethane car?
Probably not. I just don't know if I will. The main thing is the work involved, the hassle. I mean, they work on those cars. I'm lazy. My car, we pretty much just, pack a chute, fuel it, check the air in the tires, and go back and race. They go between rounds and have all the maintenance and such, and they work on from the time they get there to 2:00 in the morning. And I'm just not that ambitious, and have that bigger crew, and it's just to me, it's just not worth it, But I admire the people that do it, but I don't think it's for me.
Now, the Wild Thing car, that's your car, or are you driving for somebody?
No, it's my car.
So, how did you come up with the name Wild Thing?
I don't know. It just seemed to be a good name for it. I just thought it'd be a good name, and it was be a crowd pleaser and that type of stuff. I just thought it was a cool name for the car, so I just my alter, I called it Bad Omen, spelled just O-M-A-N. That was my son's nickname for me, was Omen, for old man. And I called it Bad Omen. And the altered body I'm getting ready to put on it, it's going to be Bad Omen 2. So while I run the altered, it'll be Bad Omen 2. And then, of course, it'll be Wild Thing when I run the funny car body. It'll give me another option and just more places to run the car.
So now when you go out and race, how many crew members do you take out with you, and who are your crew members?
Okay, Glenn Coker is my head man and crew chief and helps me work on the car, and Henry Sanders is my next, and Norm Murphy and his wife DJ help, and of course my wife Pat is invaluable. She's always with me, always has been, and she keeps the book and runs the weather station and makes her predictions and tells me what pill to put in it, and she's my backup girl, and she tows me up to the line and comes back and gets me and drags me back, and she does an awful lot more work than I do. All I do is get to drive the car and have all the fun. She gets to do all the work.
So now, what kind of engine do you have in that car?
I'm sorry.
What kind of engine do you have in the funny car?
Oh, what kind of engine? Oh, it's a big block Chevrolet style. It's a 555 and Merlin block, motor cage, roller cam, the whole thing. It's got a 471 high helix billet case rotor and the bird catcher, injection system. Got 16 nozzles, and it's pretty good setup. I don't know how fast it run. I changed it. I went through it and freshened it a couple of years ago, and just really haven't run it that much. And it's just now about to get the tune out. The car has been real fat, and I put a bigger injection pump on it, and it got real fat. We're just now about to get it to run right, and there's still some left in it, but I doubt that it'll ever be a 3-second car.
So what was the quickest time you had with that car?
I run a 456 last time out down in San Antonio, trying to run 465, and it's 157 miles an hour. But the car ought to run 430s, I imagine, without too much problem, possibly some 20s. It just depends on. And I was running just a tad of nitro. I was putting 9% nitro in it just for a little smell and smoke,
Yeah.
Makes the burnouts look better.
How did that work out?
Worked out good, It was cool. Like I said, get a little more flame, the burnout and stuff, and more smell. And it's a little tougher tougher in the seat when you first crank it up and everything before you make your run. You know, that it's it gets a little fumy, but but it's not too bad. You definitely don't want to start it up in the trailer with the nitro in it.
Right.
It'll get your attention real quick.
Yeah. So how many events do you have planned for this year?
Right now, it's hard to say. I'm going to run several of the SHRA events and probably 2 of the Funny Car Chaos, and then possibly this new association. They've got supposedly a race every month for the next 4 or 5 months. So not a lot, but probably maybe a minute 10 or 12 outings this year.
Now, what kind of tires do you currently have on the Funny Car?
What kind of starting system?
No, what kind of tires?
Tires. Right. But I've got a set of Goodyear top alcohol tires on the liner rims, a set of Sanders liner rims, and they work real well on the thing. And I just run a power glide. And so far, well, I broke an input shaft down in San Antonio, but then discovered that it wasn't the good input shaft. It has a good one now, but it's one of those deals. You know, when you race, you're gonna tear stuff up.
Yeah. Do you have any sponsors?
Just me and my company. At the moment, any real sponsor, you know. I've got some little title loan places and a car lot, so it's sponsored by Speedy Cash and Bryce's Auto Sales. Okay.
So now, when you started out in drag racing years ago, who was inspirational to you back then? Like any big funny car drivers, dragster drivers, anybody out there?
Oh, I guess Don Garlis was my hero back then. And I met Don several times at the races and such. Super nice guy, you know. And when I had my old Max Wedge cars, I know one time I blew a freeze plug out, went over and borrowed one from Don, you know. He was, you know, was just always an inspiration to everybody, I think.
Yeah.
And we went and run Super Gas up at Indy in '09, I guess it was. And a friend of mine took his car too. And Don was running one of those stock class, one of them John Deere A-stock automatic cars or whatever, and was there, and we stopped and visited with him, you know, and talked to him. And this friend of mine got his picture taken with his camera, and a picture of him and Don, you know. And he had an 8x10 made of it, you know. Well, then we were running down the national event down at Ennis, you know, I guess the following year, and we were just pulling in like on Wednesday or whatever when you go to the races, and everybody, you know, they're parking in, that sort of thing. And Don had just pulled in. He was just getting out. Like I say, he was still running that stock class car. And that friend of mine had his picture with him, and he run over there, and Don autographed it. I thought that was really cool. I wish I'd been smart enough to do something like that. That's definitely one to hang on the wall.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a legend right there.
He really is.
No.
Well, as far as funny cars, of course, there were so many, you know, of the good funny car racers and such. You know, of course, funny cars, you know, they've got that mystique about them, and they're cars, and instead of, you know, just pipe, and people can identify with them, and they got the names and all that. So it's a little more fun running a funny car, you know.
Yeah, that's a good thing about nostalgia. You still got your own names on the cars, not like the big show cars where they got all sponsor names on them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, like I say, it makes it a little more interesting, and you know, I just bought me a tow car for my car. I bought me a '65 Dodge Coronet wagon I'm gonna use for a tow car, and it fits with it. I figured that'll look good for a nostalgia car.
Oh yeah. Now, what was it like for you to get behind the wheel for the first time with an alcohol funny car?
I'm sorry, I've got a bad connection. Actually, I came to town. I live out in the country. I came to town to get as much reception as possible, and it's a little hard to understand here sometimes.
What was it like for you? What was it like for you to get behind the wheel for the first time with an alcohol funny car, Wes?
What was it like? Oh, it was a hoot. It was like I said, I already had that blown fuel altered, But it's a different feeling in that funny car when they close that lid on you and you're in that box, you know. And it's quieter in a way, but then you kind of got the tin can sound, you know. And it's got a different view, even though it's the same wheelbase as like the Ultra. You know, it's got a different view, and it seems it feels like it's twice as long. And when you're backing it up, when I make my burnout and they're backing me up and they're telling me to turn one way or the other, from my view, it looks to me like I've turned sideways, and they're still telling me I need to turn more, you know, because that long nose on that thing. But it's definitely a different experience. But it's fun. But it really goes down track well. My altered car, you kind of have to drive it a little bit down track. With this funny cars, like it's on rails. I mean, you just point it and let her go.
So now, Wes, when you get ready for a weekend of drag racing, what goes into preparation for you to get this car ready for the weekend?
Oh, just normal. You know, it takes about a half a day to just get loading everything. I've got a stacker. I pull it behind find a motor home. I've got a stacker trailer, so I've got to load my golf cart. I've got to load all the fuel and make sure I've got some spark plugs and oil and all that kind of stuff, and get everything tied down. You know, and then of course, when you get to the track, where you got to unload all your stuff, and you know, you got to hang the chutes and put the wheelie bar on and put it on jack stands and warm it up and all that. But it's like I say with that Chevrolet style motor and everything, it's low maintenance as far as we don't have to run the valves between every round, and by being that power glide, we don't have to go in and mess with the clutches and all that kind of stuff. So once you get it up and going, it's fairly low maintenance, but it still takes a little you know, something. And of course, like I say, before you get ready, you're always going for a weekend or whatever or something, so you got to get plenty of groceries to take with you. And of course, when you're at races, you just kind of camp and cook and, you know, visit everybody. You know how that goes. Everybody's running around the pits and visiting half the night. And, you know, I quit racing, you know, like I told you a couple of times, but what I enjoyed when I got back to doing it with my son was the camaraderie and how everybody gets along and how everybody helps each other, you know. And, you know, I really enjoyed that part of it, and still do. And that's the thing about drag racers. I mean, they help and assist each other at the some type of races where they fight and feud all the time, you know.
Yeah, just like in the...
You know, it's a real social, and it's a real family oriented. People don't realize how much of a family oriented and how everybody got their kids and grandkids and stuff with them and everything, and you know.
Yeah, that's a good thing about nostalgia racing. They always, all the interviews I do, most they all say that it's like one big party after the race is done. Everyone's in the pits, big barbecues and drinking and everything all night.
Oh yeah, like I say, when the racing's over, everybody's celebrating, having fun, and like I say, you know, you're going from pit to pit visiting, you know, and there are sometimes a few adult beverages, you know, and then there's always somebody cooking, you know, and then sometimes somebody will set up and just feed 50 people, you know.
Yeah. Like some of the racers I've interviewed are like, if you ever make it out here, make sure you stop by the pits and have some food. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, everybody's that way. Everybody's always cooks more food than they need. You know, everywhere you go, like if you're not cooking to feed people, somebody's cooking to try to feed you. You know, it's a big friendly social atmosphere. Besides the racing, I mean, the racing itself is fun. I mean, it's a rush. There's no doubt about that. You know, the thrill of the run and all that, and the adrenaline and everything. But the whole atmosphere, you know, like I say, the camaraderie and everything. It's just a real good fun weekend. Now, when it's done, you're wore out and all that, tired, and sometimes a little disgusted at yourself, usually. But it's still, and what other sport could I've got into that I'll be 76 here, 10th of June. What other sport could I got into that I could have been competitive for 50 years, you know, or more?
Yeah, like you said, the camaraderie, like the first Funny Car Chaos this year up in Oklahoma, the Nitro Clown, Dave Galejos' car had an oil problem. They couldn't run the weekend, so he gave some headers to Fred Farnan so Fred can run right there. That's camaraderie right there, family, you know.
Oh yeah, everybody helps everybody, and like that up there at Mocan, somebody broke another guy along in the head and whatever. But then and people that don't even know each other. I mean, not really. I mean, but if somebody's got something broke, you know, I mean, the guy that just pitted next to him but never met him before is over there laying under his car helping him work on it, you know.
Yeah, that's nice that you can help out each other like that.
Yeah, like I say, and I still enjoy it, you know. And one of these days, I guess I'll quit, but I don't know when. Not as long as it's fun, as long as I feel competitive, you know.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy it. And like I say, my wife's been with me about 49 years altogether, and she's always been involved and always helping. It makes lots of difference, you know. You know, having somebody that supports you, and like I say, she does a lot more work than I do.
Well, you can always keep going till you're like in your 80s, like Chris the Greek Karamessinis is still going.
Yeah, well, that's what I figure. I figure whatever the Greek quits when I get as old as he was when he quit. I figure that's when I'll quit, and he goes a whole lot faster than I do.
Yeah.
You know, that man was in World War II.
Wow.
He got wounded in World War II. That's hard to believe.
Yeah, no one actually knows the real age of that guy right now.
Mm-hmm. What gets me is how do they pass the physical? I just think about how amazing that is.
Yeah, he's quite a guy out there. He's another legend, though.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
So now,
but you know, unfortunately, it's a sport that's fading away. You know, the younger generation is not car people. You know, for one thing, they're not into cars, and cars are just transportation. And when you go to the races, you see more gray-haired guys and you see young guys. And if they are young guys, their fathers are racer, and they're another second generation or third generation, whatever. But it's a sport like a lot of things are fading away as times change. You know.
Yeah.
I guess like rodeos did.
Yeah, it's all the technology these days with the video games and all that garbage. The kids are stuck on the video games. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're not outdoorsy, and they're not cars. When we were young, I mean, it was all about, of course, girls, but it was girls and cars or cars and girls, whatever, you know. And like I say now, with most of these kids, cars are just transportation, you know.
Oh yeah.
Cars don't have the value to them that it did back then.
Yeah, well, but the good thing about nostalgia racing is it's affordable for bringing the whole family out there, and not like the big show racing where it's too expensive. Too expensive to bring the whole family.
Yeah, like the nostalgia racing has helped and everything, and I'm looking right now to build me another nostalgia. I'm gonna clone my old car. I'm gonna build me another '64 Dodge 2-door post max wedge car to go with nostalgia racing. And I've got a '69 Dodge Charger set up for drag race, but it's too nice a car to keep racing in. I'm gonna put it back on the street. I'm a kind of a car guy, I guess, a car collector and such. Kind of like Chryslers, and so I'm gonna put my Charger back on the street and pull the powertrain out of that and put in a '64 Dodge and go nostalgia racing a little bit again on the side. You know, there's quite often I would run two cars with the SHRA. You know, I'd run my Altered or whatever, and then either run my MG or my Charger. One of the classes, I double tech quite a lot. Don't seem to get enough of it, I guess.
Do you ever go to car shows?
I'm not big on car shows. I'll walk through one if one's by. I've had a few cars in car shows, but I've never been serious. I've got some pretty nice cars, but I guess I'm just not patient enough. For one thing, I guess that's reading that drag race. But I just can't sit there all day in a lawn chair and watch people put their hands on your car. When it's all over with, everybody gets a trophy. It's just not me. Not knocking it, but it's just not me.
Yeah.
I may start doing a little more of it. Like I say, I've got a '69 Dodge Super P that I'm freshening up, and I'm completely going through nice car. And when I get it all back together, it'll be like brand new. And I may show it a little bit or something. But, like I said, I'm just not really a big car show guy.
Okay, now what?
Go ahead.
What are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
My favorite track? Locally, I guess, the Motorplex down in Ennis, I mean, it's just really a great track as far as facility. My favorite track as far as racers and everything, we go up to Ardmore a lot. Ardmore, Oklahoma. Nice little small track, good program, good bunch of racers. I've been racing up there for 15 years or so. And like that, of course, there everybody and everything too. And it's a little bit not quite as high tech and not quite as cutthroat as some of the stuff in the bracket racing, And it's just a real good group of people. I really enjoy racing there. Like as far as facility, the Motorplex is best facility.
Now for you,
there's lots of good tracks now.
Now for you, do you only do eighth mile racing, or you do quarter mile as well?
I do both. I prefer quarter mile. I'm a quarter mile racer, I guess, because I'm an old school racer, And of course, when we were in NHR, Super Gas, that was all quarter mile, And I like that riding high gear. It kind of gives you time to enjoy it, But the tracks, everything is going to 8th mile now, and the tracks like it, and because their program goes faster, and they don't have to. People don't oil the track as much, and of course the racers like them the 8th mile because it's not as hard on parts, Like personally, I like the quarter mile, but majority of stuff is 8th mile now.
Yes, it's like it varies from drivers. Some drivers say, "Oh, I like the 8th mile because you can shut it down faster and not worry about breaking anything."
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, it's simpler, but especially if you got a car that miles an hour, high mile an hour, that riding high gear is fun. And that's what we do it for. It's fun. You definitely don't do it for money. It's definitely a negative cash flow operation. But like there are a lot of they have down here in the Dallas area, they have a Lone Star Muscle Car Association, and most of their stuff is 8th mile now. But it's all the car clubs. They go race each other like once a month, and it's all kind of nostalgia race. You see some cool cars of all brands and everything there. And there's no money involved. They get trophies and jackets and stuff. You don't win a nickel, but it's a fun, good thing to do. And like I say, the Southwest Heritage thing is a fun thing, and they've got a variety of classes and indexes, and it is a venue, a place to do it. Besides just because it's gotten down to just bracket racing, or of course now everything has got the big no prep, big money thing, and there are people spend tons of money doing that stuff.
Yeah. So now, where do you get your fire suit from?
Where do I get my what from?
Your fire suit.
My fire suit?
Yeah, where do you get yours from?
I've got a Stroud right now. I've got a SFI 20 Stroud suit. And of course I've got a set of the old silver fuel boots that I wear that I think look cool, over my regular racing shoes. And of course we got the Kevlar and the Hans type device and all that kind of stuff, You got to wear the head sock, and like my other nostalgia cars or door cars, you can just jump in and out of them. This funny car, time I get in, and it takes help to get me all buckled in, and and then to get the body down on me and all that and everything. It's not it's not a just jump in and go process. It's several minutes involved getting in that thing and getting strapped in and getting ready, and then. Of course, it don't take near as long to get out of it, but all of the safety equipment's good. Of course, I've got the fire system on the car, the fire bottles and all that kind of stuff. Never had to pull them yet, but they're there if we need it. That is one thing about drag racing: the safety equipment. It does work.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe we had two deaths in one day over the weekend. That was a very tragic day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
And the one
But
without,
there is a certain amount of danger with it, and over the years it occasionally happens. It's a shame. And it's usually a lot of time it's some little freak thing or something.
have you ever been to that track in Abilene, Texas?
No, actually, that's the man I bought my funny car from. Was the man that owned that track. And he had the car and had bought it, messed with it, and then didn't race it. I bought it off him, but they say it's a real nice facility. It's supposed to be a good track and good setup. I don't know what happened out there, but and of course the guy at the national event, the top sportsman car, that was kind of like the Bruce Allen, Kenny Correia thing, that the Motorplex in that Pro Stock at that time, same type of deal. He got in front of him and got a T-bone. We were when that happened, when that Pro Stock wreck happened, we was sitting down in the quarter-mile stands down there, watching the qualifying that Friday night, and it happened pieces ended up in front of the stand. It was off Bruce's car, and that was horrific. We was also down there in the quarter-mile stand when John Force had his mishap when his car broke in half and all that, when him and Bernstein were side by side down there. Matter of fact, a friend of mine still has one of John Force's parachutes off his car. They picked up out there.
Now, for you, Wes, have you had any accidents or near accidents throughout your drag race career?
No, never have. I've never, they get a little loose on you every now and then stuff, but I've never scraped the paint or done anything on one. I've had some friends that had some. I got one real good friend that had a bad one, but he luckily with his safety equipment he didn't get hurt bad, but he ended up going airborne and upside down on fire and all that type of stuff. But he, with his safety equipment and everything, he come out just battered and bruised mostly. But no, I've been lucky.
Knock on wood.
Yes. And the faster you go, I guess there's more of a chance of it. But there again, then you have more safety equipment too. So you might be safer than you are in a slow car with just a seatbelt, or driving to work.
Now, Wes, what would you consider to be the milestones of your drag racing career?
Well, I don't know. That is really hard to say. Of course, like I say, right now I'm going the fastest I've ever gone, and the funny car is fun. It's close to pinnacle, But I probably back in the old days of my old Max Wedge car running all those years, it was probably the best time. We used to go to Mexico. We had a little super stock circuit out of San Antonio. We go down to Monterrey, Mexico, and New Laredo and Mexico City and race. That was quite an experience. This was back in the 70s, It was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. So, but as far as actual the thrill of racing and all that and everything, I'm funny car right now,
So I'm gonna ask you a few fun questions before we finish up this interview. Do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
I ride a motorcycle a lot. I collect and restore old cars. I live in the country. I do a little fishing. Play on my tractor, that type of stuff a little bit, And I belong to American Legion Riders. I belong to American Legion and the American Legion Riders, and they're the motorcycle group that connect with the American Legion. And they're a pretty active group. We do a lot of things and go on lots of rides and fundraisers and events and such with them. Plus, I just like to pleasure ride. We go to the various states, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and places like that, ride motorcycles and such. And like I say, I've got several old classic cars. I've even got an amphibious car. Well, the amphibious cars, you take to the lake and go run out in the water and such. And I've got a boat. We go to the lake, go fishing and playing and such. So I do quite a lot of other things too.
Right. So, how many trophies have you won throughout your career?
I have no idea. And used to, you got a trophy when you win your class, and then you go on to the other. And I've thrown away truckloads of trophies. Kept just a few of them. And I put in a little game room one time down in South Texas. Called it the pit stop and use some racing stuff, and I'd have pool tournaments and give away old trophies. I got rid of a bunch of them that way, And a friend of mine asked me several years ago, that was Rick Grindstaff that ran that Texas Blown Fuel Association, asked me how many races I'd won over the. I said, man, I got no idea. I couldn't put a number on it. It's just because I've just done it so long, and you win some, you lose some. I've always been reasonably successful at it, though, and win a few races a year. So
Right.
And I never got. I think I was like fourth in the Jigs points one time, or something, but I've never, won a world championship or anything like that,
Right. So now, Wes, if you were able to do time traveling and go back in time, would you try to change anything?
Not much. I've had a good life. I can't complain. And like everything in life, you make some mistakes along the way and some stuff you wish you hadn't have done. But if you change that, well, the outcome of some other stuff wouldn't be the same. And I've had a very good life. And so there's probably very little I'd change.
Do you and your wife have a favorite vacation spot to go to if you ever take vacations?
Oh yeah, well, we've got a nice RV, motorhome, and we take a fair amount. We're semi-retired. We've still got a couple of businesses, but we're semi-retired, and we travel. We don't go about a week, 10 days at a time. And there again, we don't go far. We go up Oklahoma, Arkansas, Colorado, places like that. We kind of like the mountains and the lakes. We don't go to the ocean a lot for some reason, but.
Now, with the funny car, do you have a greatest competitor?
Not really. There's lots of good ones out there, and it's a different. It's different every week, I mean, but one guy that's killer this week will go out first round next week, But in different racing and such, and like I said, there are some that are better than others, and end up at the top of the heat more often than others. But like I said, that varies from time to time. You're talking about like Andy Mears, and Andy's a good racer.
Right.
He's as far as in the nostalgia type racing and everything, he is very good. Has a beautiful car, and he's a super nice guy. He's probably the one that he's in that type of deal. Andy's probably the one that you will put on the front page.
Yes. So what would you consider to be your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yep.
Barbecue. I also do some competition barbecuing. I forgot about that. Barbecue. That's a Texas thing. I've been doing competitive barbecuing for years, and my son picked it up and did it for several years. He's not doing much anymore. We go off every now and then, the two of us, and go together and compete in some contests and such. But I could eat barbecue 7 days a week. I'm a meat eater. I'm definitely not a vegan.
Do you use the John Hale barbecue sauce?
I've tried it. Yeah, it is good. Everybody has their taste. It's the type of barbecue sauce of this area. I was raised in South Texas where it's not as sweet and it's a little tangier sauce. So his is right on for the barbecue sauce in this area. He makes a good sauce.
Right.
It's not the style I make, but it's a good sauce. There again, that's a matter of taste.
So if people that are listening to the interview right now want to find out where you're going to be at, what's the best way for them to find out where you're going to be racing at on your?
I guess probably just on Facebook.
On your personal page?
Yeah, on my personal page. Yeah, I usually post when we go off somewhere to a race where we're going.
Do you think you ever make another page for the funny car on Facebook?
I doubt it. I don't know. To me, it's not that big a deal. But I doubt that I will.
Okay.
Some people do. I just never thought it was worth doing.
Right. Well, Wes, do you have any final words for everyone that's listening?
Not really. life. You only live once.
Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time.
Live every day like there's no tomorrow. Because one day there won't be.
Yeah, you never know when it's your time.
That's true.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your time for the interview, Wes.
Well, thank you.
You have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.